Well, we're here for episode 3 of The Last of Us 2. And, you know, thank you guys for giving us your feedback and your comments on the last reaction. It was rough, and we're leaving off, or we're starting off with this episode still reeling, to be honest. I know we watched a lot of reactions from mutuals and stuff, and they all, whether you played the game or not, or you knew what was going to happen, it still hit hard.
And now we got to deal with the aftermath. It's interesting because I'm coming to this as someone who has not played the games, and everything is destroyed. The safety of their city is gone. Joel's obviously gone. I don't know. There was one thing I did want to ask you about real quick. Is the decision to not have Joel's brother there. What you think that's benefit or better or worse?
Having Tommy there and having Tommy witness that kind of it lends to Ellie's revenge tour a lot more, because in the game Dina is the one that goes with Ellie, so it might help in that regard to have Dina be or share give
Dina some skin in the game.
Yeah. And we might get to see some changes in the overall narrative with Tommy. I mean, he's we got to see more of what's happening in Jackson than the game showed us. So there might be some narrative that he's going to stay there and kind of play out, on his end. So we'll see. Let's get into it. Well, the first thing I'm wondering is, did this stop the cordyceps in the pipes?
I mean, I just kind of assumed it was the same group. It was just one.
It looks like they have some reprieve still in the city.
Damn.
What sucks is that it's not just a death, right? Like you look underneath the blanket and it's just such gruesome imagery.
Oh. They're also going to discover her immunity.
I don't feel wronged.
That's a lie.
I wish I could have let him off the hook for whatever it was he was talking about. I guess I'll have to let myself off the hook for that.
You really are good at it.
She's a smart ass.
I love her.
I do for weed and booze.
I wouldn't worry, Gail. There's still a lot of fucked up people in this town.
I mean, spoiler alert, there will be flashbacks, and I'm wondering if they filmed that like transitionally between seasons. So because Bella Ramsey's growing up, and I'm wondering if they had the wherewithal to film some while she's still younger. You know what I mean? So that they can do those flashbacks.
Wolf. Fucking
It's a
morons.
great drawing.
Did he say how small they were?
No, but seeing as how no one's ever mentioned them since, I'm guessing small enough for us to handle.
Now the show becomes woke and it becomes about two girls kicking ass.
Well,
I gotta think about this.
think about what? Let's fucking get these guys.
Ellie, it ain't that simple. The town is still recovering. So are you.
We get where you're coming
No,
from.
we don't
but-
get where you're coming from. I don't get where you're coming from. If it had been you, Joel would be halfway to Seattle before the sun came up.
He'd be halfway to Seattle to save my life. He was my brother.
Straight out of the game. I shouldn't be
Listen.
surprised at this point.
I'm not saying you shouldn't do this.
Oh, these fuckers.
I was like, yeah, no, that's a weird cult. That's
Well,
probably his wife up front.
No one falling, all clear. Keep moving.
Good.
I'm just
To
getting
get
PTSD
resettled.
from all the
She's
whistles.
Why can't you tell me where we're going?
She is, in a way.
Did you know about them before you
Profit
said
isn't
a
bad.
weird cult?
They're just people
No.
that see truths hidden from others.
Good
and
instincts.
Share that truth no matter what the cost. So it was with our prophet. And that's how we keep her spirit alive.
Ugh.
Her words, we obey her teachings. Take cover!
The whistle system is pretty slick, though.
I mean, it's annoying when you're trying to be stealthy. As a game mechanic.
Wolf.
Organize your thoughts, write them down, and then read them out loud tomorrow.
Okay, yeah, because I'm stupid.
Because you're angry, Ellie. And no one's gonna vote for angry.
Which is why I keep saying we need to invest more in turkeys and less in chickens. And that brings me back to my earlier point about corn. Corn, some of you have heard me say, is not the easiest crop to grow, but it is among the fastest. I don't really have an opinion on the Seattle thing.
Okay, thank you. So that was Scott. Next is Rachel.
I like him. I like Scott.
So much to so many of us. I'll accept whatever the council
I'm glad she wrote it
decides.
down.
But I am asking you, please. I am asking you, please. Do it for us.
It's a mighty powerful argument.
But also for me.
It really is a confounding
The council
argument.
will not vote on the proposal to send a party of 16 citizens to Seattle to find the people who killed Joel and execute them.
It's a tough argument to go against when you change the framing from revenge to justice. Because it is the same thing, conceptually speaking, but justice has a more, I suppose, socially accepted connotation.
Amy Beth?
Also, some people don't want to be saved. But that's a different conversation. Button-up shirt. That's the... Sorry, it's the T-Lu2 look. Jeez.
Who is it? Hey. I'm just going to
I'm
bed.
not feeling good.
No, I don't think that is where you're going.
I have like a whole armory.
Are you
on my-
alone?
I'm alone.
It is one of my favorite things about the second game is
Please
their
don't tell me
banter.
about this. Oh, you think that's why I'm here?
I'd come with you, but I caught some friendly fire on New Year's Day.
You sure it's friendly? Jesus Christ.
You got 10 minutes before patrol comes by. Let's get you going.
I'm with Ellie, you know. Still hate him. But
You
points.
gotta, yeah, the consistency, you know. Yeah, I thought that was gonna be the end.
Nah. My thinking is they're gonna run into the cult first. I'm just a sucker for silhouette shots.
Okay, fine, 6.
Fuck you, 6.
That's not bad. That sucks.
We gotta learn to start accepting 6s and 7s, people.
You asked, and I told you. I'm sorry.
In theory, we'll come out near Highway 5, just north of the city.
Yeah. They gotta meet them first. Oh, if I'm remembering correctly. That's when the world opens up. And you're literally like just riding around Seattle, just
Wow. Fucking Seattle.
Curtis or Viper?
What? No, that was just me. I was trying to sound like a badass. You don't need to try.
Dang. All right, so they're kind of legit. All right.
nah. Those are just all tech workers. They found all that equipment. They might be carrying guns, but they all have very specific orders for their baristas.
Well, I'm like, what are they doing? Because that's not a. That can't be a patrol. If that's just one patrol and they're all like that, maybe that'd be a lot of people.
Unsure.
And it seems like it would be unnecessary to have that many people do a patrol.
So it's weird because I no longer know how they're going to handle this narrative, right? I know the end game.
But this is the open part that you play through, so
Yeah.
our a playthrough of the show will likely be different.
Yeah.
And we don't have to learn the story through scraps of paper.
Yep. Just true. So I mean, I guess the biggest takeaway that we haven't really come to terms with, or not come to terms with, but found out about is the cult that we just met with the Hammers. For lack of wolves, these are essentially like your bandits that you encounter. They're not bandits, but like these are the neutral forces that
from a game mechanic.
And it's going to be interesting to see how they handle that. But I know for a fact that the Wolves or the Washington Liberation Front is not... They didn't do that to them. So we still haven't met the main cult, which is what I'm anticipating for the next episode. But this was largely, this was a plot development for sure. A lot of aftermath, and they didn't waste any time getting to Seattle, which is a good thing because
I was almost expecting, because that is a long time. There was a lot of time that passed during this single episode.
There's a good portion in the game of you encountering this neutral force, and that serves largely as your obstacle. I'm assuming that most of what's going to go down in this season will happen in Seattle, because it is a large place. Like, you can't really, like... You can encounter the cult in, like, one part of the city, and the wolves in the other part of the city, and they wouldn't be able to hear each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I mean, depending on where people live, people underestimate how big the cities are. You know what I mean? Like... Dina is so effortlessly charming. It's you're just a really good actor. You know what I mean? Like, that's just someone that you were like, I'd be friends with him. You know, all the acting is on point. Some of it is, I was able to kind of predict what was going to happen, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. This was necessary. You know,
there's going to be a couple of these before it gets. I'm assuming they backloaded a whole lot.
The thing I don't know about the game is where the confrontation with Abby is in the story. If that's like the end of the story, or if after the confrontation there's a bunch of story after that point. So that's gonna be interesting.
Oof.
I was about to answer. Yeah, I always kind of love these things though that turn the narrative on their head. And I know some people didn't like that. That's why they didn't like, you know. I've even seen people like, oh, well, I'm not gonna watch the show anymore, and you're like, well, then you're weak.
Why wouldn't you watch the show anymore? That's crazy.
So like there has to be a lot of story. I'm just wondering how far ahead is going to be that confrontation with Abby, or if that's the end of this, and we get a bigger threat, you know. But we'll see.
I'll answer that without spoiling it. It depends on how much they're going to load up the cult. Because in the game, like I said, largely a neutral force to serve as an obstacle to get to Abby. But they could choose to narratively expound upon the cult and kind of, serve as like a subplot lesson for Ellie. There's still a lot of potential for character development with Ellie and Dina encountering the cult. So they always have that option to give us more of them. And if that's the case, then we're even further away from it. But we'll see. The show's great so far. They're just handling it really, really well. And there's nothing else I can really critically bring to the table at this point. Like, Ellie is, or not Ellie, but Bella Ramsey's doing a great job. Like Choco said, Isabella is doing a great job with Dina, and this is the game right now. Ellie and Dina in Seattle, and we'll see how they handle it from here. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell icon to turn on notifications, and consider joining the DYAD Squadron if you want to support us.
For Light and for Life.
We should all carry hammers. I'm just kidding.
And may Shimmer be your trusty steed.